There we go. All right, so we're live. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to use right triangle trig to solve triangles. Okay. And what I mean by solving triangles is this. We don't know all the sides, do we? But we can use trigonometry to figure it out, okay? So we're going to do those ratios up there on the board. So here's the thing. Always start with your angle, okay? Always start with your angle. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the 65 degrees. Always start with your angle. Okay? Now, we need to give, from the angle, names to these sides, right? I know what the 12 is. What's the 12 called? Hypotenuse. Good. 12 is called hypotenuse. So let's put that down. Let's label that down. So I know 12 is the hypotenuse. This side, AC, is the opposite. CB is the adjacent. Good. So, if I needed, there's a couple of things that are really easy, okay? If I needed to solve the whole thing, let's take the easiest thing first. Believe it or not, angle A is the easiest to find. I don't need trigonometry. Angle A is the easiest. I don't need trigonometry. These two angles always add up to 90. Does that make sense? These two angles always add up to 90. They have to, right? Because 180 in a triangle. Does that make sense? These angles always add up to 90. So if I want angle A, I'll just go and subtract 65. There you go. Easy? Okay, so let's find angle A first. So the measure, little m means measure, of angle A is simply 90 degrees minus 65 degrees. And I heard 25? 25 degrees. I like that. That's totally correct. Thumbs up on that? Thumbs up? Let me see. Okay, they always add up to 90. Now the next thing we want to do is find a side. And I didn't give you a choice. I don't know the opposite or the adjacent. It doesn't matter. Which one do you want to pick? Do you want to find this side or this side? It doesn't matter. Opposite. Okay, so we're going to use sine. If you'd chosen this one, we'd use cosine. It doesn't matter. Luke said we're going to find this side, the opposite side, okay? Okay. So let's find the opposite side. You want me to call it x? Yeah. Okay, let's call it x. I like that. We'll call it x. Actually, technically, it's called b, little b, because it's opposite angle b. Okay? It's called b. So I'm going to use these two sides. I have to use the 12. I have to use the 12, right? Because I know the 12. And you wanted to find b, right? So which one are we going to use? 12. Yep, 12. So opposite hypotenuse. Yep. Because you're going to use which ratio? Perfect. Sine. Yeah. Since for church. Okay. So we're going to go sine theta equals my opposite over my hypotenuse, right? Totally agree. Because these are the two we want to find. But instead of theta, we're going to write 65, right? That's my angle, so don't write theta. Because theta is 65 degrees. So we'll go sine 65 equals the opposite, which we don't know, we'll call b, over the hypotenuse, which we do know is 12, right? Now, Alonzo's already typing in. Good for you, Alonzo. How are we going to solve for b? How are we going to solve for b?
Multiply by 12.
Good. Multiply by 12, because you do the opposite. Instead of divide by 12, you multiply by 12. Multiply by 12. And then we're just going to use our calculator in the right mode, right? In the right mode. So I'm going to go 12 times the sine of 65. Check my mode. Yes, my mode's right. And I get an answer of 10.9, okay? Does that answer make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer 10.9 make sense to me too? Okay, right? Now, I gotta find little a. This is side little a. Okay, that's angle a, that's little a. Two ways to do it. Cosine or Pythagoras theorem. Two ways to do it. Cosine or Pythagoras theorem. What do you want to do? Cosine or Pythagoras theorem? Doesn't matter to me. Cosine? Choose cosine, okay? So I'm going to use cosine because, let me remark my triangle. Okay. Adjacent, hypotenuse, I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, right?
So it's 10.92, right?
You already got it?
Yeah, because it's little a over 12, right?
So it's going to be, but it's cosine instead, right? So cosine of 65 equals little a over 12, right? Luke, you're doing great. You agree with that? But we will get a different answer because cosine has a different number in the calculator, okay?
I would be simple.
So multiply by 12, right? It would be the same if that was a 45-degree angle, though. So 12 cosine of 65, I get about 5.07. All right? Now, did we solve the triangle?
Yeah.
Did we find everything?
Yeah.
We did, didn't we? Right? We got this side. We've got the opposite side. And we have the angle. Right? Okay. We don't need to do this one. Let's turn the page. I want to save some time. It's similar. Okay. Okay, now. I'm going to put my calculator up here.
I'm so confused.
So, listen, and I'm going to write it down. Listen, and write it down. If you have to find an angle, you push the inverse button. Okay, I'll say it again. If you have to find an angle, you push the inverse button. Emily, remember this from last year?
Yeah.
If you want to find an angle, if you don't want an angle, you have to push these blue buttons. See the blue buttons? Blue button, blue button. Okay, if you want to find an angle, you got to push the blue button because that's the inverse. So to get the blue button, I got to push the second and then the sine. Or the second and then cosine, second and tan. Okay. So let's look at this next example. Okay. So my next example is this. I've got two sides, but I don't know an angle, and it doesn't matter which one we pick. Blaze, do you want to find angle X or angle Y? Does not matter. Angle X. So, again, from the angle, we have to get some names. From the angle, we got to get some names. Got to be names like those, right? So, from the angle, what's the name of this side? To the rock to the opposite side, right? What's the name of this side? So let's write that down. Adjacent, right? Opposite adjacent, let's write that down, okay? Okay, so opposite adjacent. Take a look at the board. Which one should I use? Opposite adjacent. Which one am I going to use? Tangent. You guys agree? Tangent? So I'm going to write down tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. Good. Good. Right, write that down. Because opposite adjacent, the only ratio that works is tangent, right? You got to go, thank you. So now, theta. Theta is really angle X. You okay with that? Right? Opposite is my 8. Adjacent is my 7. Let's write it down, okay? Let's write that down. So, I'm going to write down tangent of X equals 8 over 7. Okay, now the biggie. Everybody watching? The biggie. Write this. Tan negative 1. Okay, I want you to write that. I want you to write this. So I said to find the angle, you have to use this button, right? So to find the angle, you got to use this button. So tan inverse of 8 over 7 will give you the angle. So we're going to type that in my calculator, just like that. So we're going to push the blue button. Okay, see the blue button? Tan inverse, okay? So I pushed, super important, we gotta do this, okay? Second, tan. Second, tan, you gotta push that, okay? And then I'm gonna put 8 over 7 and push enter, okay? But I'm gonna go hit blue, second 10, and 8 over 7, okay? Comes up on it, okay? 8 divided by 7, and push enter, and I get 48.8. Does that angle, does that answer make sense? Does to me. That could be a 48-degree angle. You guys okay with that, right? That'd be a 48-degree angle. Okay, now, let's get the easy stuff. So the easy stuff is angle Y. What do you know about these two angles?
Oh, that has to add up to 90.
Isn't that easy? We can get this angle easily, right? Just 90 minus that, right? Okay, so angle Y is easy. Go angle Y is equal 90 minus 48.8. What is that, 41.2 or something like that? I should be able to do that. I should be able to do that in my head. Yes, 41. I can do it in my head. Thank goodness. Okay, good. And now, finally, we got to find this side, little z, which is the hypotenuse. Okay. So we have two choices. We could use either of those, or we could use Pythagoras theorem. In this case, maybe Pythagoras theorem is easier, right? I think 8 squared plus 7 squared equals z squared might be the easiest. You okay with that? That's right. A squared plus b squared equals c squared might be the easiest way to do this one. Does that make sense? You with me? Let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm going to go then my 7 squared plus my 8 squared equals z squared, right? 49 plus 64 equals z squared. I don't know, what's 49 plus 64? I don't know. I get 113 equals z squared. And Kevin, I think you said you square root it, right? Didn't you say that last time? Square root. I don't know, it's square root of 113. Square root 113. And I get an answer of about 10.6. Does that make sense? Could this be 10.6? Yeah. Okay, let's do the last problem and then we're done, okay? So it's called right triangle trig. Okay, right triangle trig. We need to draw a right triangle. Could we read these words and make a right triangle? Can we do that? You read it? So a 6-foot man sights the top of the tower at an angle of elevation to be 77 degrees. He is 200 feet away. How tall is the tower? It's like when we went outside. It's the exact same type of problem, isn't it? It's just like when we went outside. You didn't go outside. So can we draw a picture? Sure we can. We did this. Let's draw a picture. Good job, Jacob. So we know the tower is, here's my tower, right? We're standing 200 feet away. Here's the man. He sights the top of the building, but my triangle is from his eye, right?
Yep.
So that when we get our answer, we'll add in this little bit here, correct? Right there. Right? Just like when Braden did his angle, right? Same thing. I should have made that angle bigger, but it's okay. It's just a picture, right? It's a bad picture, right, Luke? It's going to work though. So it's 77. I need to find the height of the tower. I'll call it T. So we got to name the sides, right? We got to name the sides from the angle. The side's called what?
P.
Opposite. You guys agree that's my opposite side? And what's the side called? Opposite adjacent. We agree? Which one is it? Opposite adjacent. Which one is it? Tangent. Yes. So I write tangent theta equals my opposite over my adjacent, but I'm going to fill in those words, correct? Theta stands for angle. So 77 goes there, right? My opposite is T, and my adjacent is 200.
Just put that in on calculator.
Yep, then you just hit your calculator and get it, right? So we're going to go tangent 77 equals T over 200. How do we solve?
Put it back up.
Yes, but what are we going to do? Multiply by 200. Thank you.
72.
You already got it. Good. Nice job, you guys. You already got it. You're ahead of me. I like it when you're ahead of me. So what is 200 tangent of 77? You guys already got the answer. I'm going to do that real quick on my calculator, right? 200 tangent 77. I get 866.3. Now what do we do? Add what? 6 plus 6. And I get 872.3 feet. Okay, what do you think? Okay, I want you to be honest with me, okay? All right.